If you have ADHD, you probably know that for a lot of people, exercise is way more than just fitness. It can feel like a secret weapon for focus. But what happens when that weapon gets taken away? We're going to find out in a little 2-week thought experiment. Okay, let's just dive right into the big question. What actually happens inside your brain when life gets in the way? Your schedule gets crazy, you pick up an injury, or you just lose momentum, and you're forced to stop exercising for, say, just 2 weeks. Well, the answer is probably a lot more dramatic than you'd think. So first, to really get this, we have to understand why exercise is so incredibly powerful for the ADHD brain in the first place. This isn't just about burning off energy, it's about pure brain chemistry. I want you to think about it like this. For a brain with ADHD, that morning run or that gym session, it's not really optional. It's fundamental maintenance. It's like the most reliable way to get your brain online for the day. So when you take that away, the whole system starts to feel the strain. It really all starts with a couple of key neurochemicals, and first on the list is dopamine. This is the molecule of motivation, of reward, of attention. A single workout can flood the brain with it, creating that amazing post-workout clarity and calm that so many people with ADHD really, really rely on to just get through the day. And then you've got norepinephrine. If your brain has a CEO, this is it. It's absolutely essential for alertness and all those executive functions like planning and organizing. Exercise boosts this one too, which is kind of like giving your brain's CEO a powerful cup of coffee to get to work with. So when you exercise regularly, you're creating a brain that's just running better. It's got more neurochemicals, better focus, and more stable emotions. Without it, the brain is at its baseline. But here's the really crucial part. When you stop exercising, you don't just go back to that baseline, you often dip below it. All right, so the experiment begins. The clock is ticking. In this first week, really subtle changes start to happen, and they begin to cascade, just like the first few dominoes in a long line starting to fall. The first couple of days might even feel fine, maybe like a nice little break. But by day 3, your brain is noticing. Dopamine levels are dropping back to their usual ADHD baseline. Then by day 5, that famous brain fog starts to roll in. And by the end of the week, impulsivity and your ability to regulate emotions take a pretty serious hit. And what does this actually look like in real life? Well, inattention becomes that sheer frustration of reading the exact same email 5 times and still not knowing what it says. Impulsivity spikes because your brain is desperately looking for those missing dopamine hits. And emotional dysregulation, that means your frustration tolerance just plummets, and suddenly small problems feel absolutely catastrophic. Now we're heading into week 2, and this is where things get a lot more challenging. The symptoms don't just come back. They can come back with a vengeance. This is a phenomenon known as the rebound effect. Okay, this is so important to understand. Your brain got used to those higher levels of dopamine and norepinephrine from exercise. It adapted to that new, higher functioning normal. So when you suddenly yank that support away, your brain doesn't just go back to its old baseline. It overcorrects, and it makes you feel that deficit, that absence, even more intensely. The decline really deepens in week 2. Your prefrontal cortex, that CEO of the brain, it becomes less active. So your ability to plan just goes right out the window. Your sleep cycle gets all messed up, which basically pours rocket fuel on your ADHD symptoms. And your stress hormone, cortisol, starts to rise, causing anxiety to spike. So by the end of just 2 weeks, you are caught in a nasty, vicious cycle. Your executive functions are basically on vacation. Your working memory feels glitchy and unreliable. The poor sleep you're getting just makes the next day even harder. And even small choices start to feel completely exhausting. You're not just back where you started, you're in a much deeper hole. So, why? Why does it feel so much worse than your normal, pre-exercise baseline? The answer has nothing to do with willpower or discipline. It's all about predictable neurobiology. This is probably the most important thing I want you to take away from this entire explainer. If you've ever felt this, it's not you. It is not a moral failing. It is not a lack of discipline. It is a biological process that is both totally predictable and completely understandable. Think about it. Your brain adapted to running on premium fuel. When that support is suddenly pulled away, it is a massive shock to the system. The engine sputters, it becomes hypersensitive to the lack of those crucial chemicals, and that's why the symptoms feel so incredibly amplified. But here's the good news, and it's really good news.
It can feel overwhelming, but it is not permanent. You have the power to restart the engine.
Seriously, just let that sink in for a second. All of those negative effects, that entire vicious cycle, it is completely 100% reversible. The brain is incredibly adaptable, and just as fast as it adapted to the lack of exercise, it can quickly readapt when you bring it back. The key here is not to try and jump right back into your old, intense routine. No, no. Start small. A simple 15-minute walk can provide an immediate neurochemical boost. Just focus on being consistent, because for the ADHD brain, consistency will always beat intensity. And just be patient with yourself. It usually takes about 2 weeks to get back to where you were. And the turnaround can happen surprisingly fast. The very first session back gives you an immediate mood boost. Within just a few days, your focus starts to improve. And in just 1 to 2 weeks, you can be right back where you started, with all those amazing benefits fully restored. It's pretty incredible. Ultimately, this whole 2-week experiment brings us to a really powerful conclusion. For the ADHD brain, exercise isn't just an add-on or a luxury wellness activity. It's as essential as sleep or nutrition. It is fundamental brain maintenance. Which really just leaves us with one final question to think about. Given its direct, powerful impact on neurochemistry and brain function, for the ADHD brain, is exercise really just a healthy choice, or should we start thinking of it as a form of medicine, something to chew on?